My friends, I ask you, what if the only thing standing between you and your miracle is belief? Not belief in the world, not belief in luck, not belief in others, but belief in yourself. For too long, many have walked through life with heads bowed, hearts heavy, and spirits dulled by the lies of limitation. They say, I can't. They say, I'm not enough. They say, it's too late. But I am here to tell you, none of it is true. You are not some wandering accident in a chaotic universe. You are a divine idea in the mind of God. You were spoken into existence with purpose, with power, and with potential. The words you speak, they matter. They are not idle sounds, tossed into the wind. They are commands, marching orders, blueprints sent to the subconscious mind, which takes them and builds your world accordingly. So if you speak of failure, you build a prison. But if you speak of triumph, you build a palace. Do not dare allow fear to write the script of your life. Fear is a liar. Fear is faith in reverse. It is belief in the worst when heaven is trying to deliver the best. Banish fear. For when you walk by faith, doors that were sealed shut swing wide open. Paths that never existed are carved beneath your very feet. Now listen closely. There is a force within you that knows the way. It is still, but it is not silent. It is gentle, but it is never weak. It is the voice of divine intuition, of perfect guidance. When it speaks, obey. When it nudges, move. When it stirs your heart, answer. For when you believe in yourself, you are agreeing with the divine. You are saying yes to the assignment your soul came here to fulfill. You are saying, I am ready. And heaven rushes in to meet you at your point of faith. Let me tell you the truth that sets captives free. You do not have to figure everything out. You only have to believe. When you stand in that faith, firm, unshakable, undeterred, the entire universe conspires to aid your rise. So I say to you today, speak victory. Choose faith. Obey the voice within. And believe in yourself, not because of ego, but because the creator of all that is believed in you first. The gates are open. The path is clear. Step boldly into your destiny. Your miracle is not coming, it's waiting. Fear is the enemy of progress, the deceiver of dreams, the great paralyzer of purpose. It comes clothed in logic, dressed in caution, speaking in whispers of what if, yet its true mission is to steal, kill, and destroy the divine vision seated within your soul. It is, in truth, nothing more than inverted faith, faith placed in the wrong outcome. To live in fear is to prophesy doom. To live in faith is to declare victory before the battle has even begun. You must understand, faith is not mere hope. It is not wishful thinking or passive optimism. Faith is a dynamic force, a spiritual substance. It is the assurance of things not seen, the evidence of the unseen reality already unfolding. When you believe, truly believe, you give form to the invisible. You open the gates to divine power. But when you fear, you do the same in reverse. You construct the very thing you dread. You call it to you. You magnetize it by the energy of belief, even if that belief is negative. That is why fear feels so real, because belief gives it life. So many people ask, what if I fail? But I say, what if you fly? What if the idea that stirs in your spirit is not fantasy, but divine assignment? What if your desire is the whisper of destiny itself? Then fear becomes an intruder. It does not belong. It is not truth. It is a shadow with no substance, cast by the light of your own power that you have not yet claimed. You cannot serve two masters, faith and fear. One must be cast out, and the other enthroned. Fear is noisy. It demands attention. It cloaks itself in false humility, saying, be careful. Stay small. Stay safe. But faith is still. It stands tall. It speaks once, with clarity and command. And when you obey it, when you act on it, miracles move. When you believe in yourself, you are not trusting the ego. You are trusting the divine blueprint that is encoded in your very being. You are affirming, I and the Father are one, and you step into agreement with all of heaven. That is not arrogance. It is alignment. That is not pride. It is spiritual obedience. There is no power in fear. It is a mirage. But there is infinite power in faith. And faith begins with a single decision: to believe in spite of appearances, to trust in spite of delay, to walk forward though the way is not yet visible. As one obeys that inward nudge, that still, small voice, the fog clears, the path appears, and what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. You were not born to tremble. You were born to triumph. So cast out fear, and let faith reign. Speak only that which you desire to manifest. Align your thoughts, your words, and your actions with divine truth. For when faith takes the lead, fear must flee, and your life becomes the masterpiece it was always meant to be. The subconscious mind is your faithful servant. It does not argue, it does not analyze, it does not question your authority, it simply obeys. It takes every word you speak, every belief you hold, every image you impress upon it, and begins at once to make it real in your outer world. Most people walk through life unaware of this divine machinery operating within them, allowing fear, lack, and limitation to be printed on the canvas of their minds, and then they wonder why they reap bitterness instead of beauty. But the truth is this: the subconscious mind is always listening. It hears your words, but more than that, it hears the vibration behind them. It takes the energy of your beliefs and feelings and begins to magnetize the conditions that match. It works night and day, shaping circumstances, moving people, arranging events, all in perfect accordance with what you have accepted as true. You may not see it immediately, but the wheels begin to turn the moment you impress the idea. If you declare, "I can never succeed," the subconscious accepts that decree as a law and goes to work manifesting it in your finances, your relationships, and your opportunities. If you declare, "I always meet the right people at the right time," the same mind sets out to fulfill that order. The only question is, what orders are you giving it? This is the sacred power of mind, the creative engine given to you by the infinite. But like any power, it must be governed with wisdom. You would not leave a powerful machine running wild without direction, yet that is what most people do with their thoughts. They speak carelessly. They joke about failure. They rehearse their disappointments. And they forget that the subconscious takes them at their word. It does not laugh. It does not ignore. It simply delivers. To live victoriously, you must become the conscious master of this servant. You must watch your thoughts, not with anxiety, but with authority. Speak only what you wish to see made manifest. Imagine only the outcome that aligns with divine right action. Guard your inner life as sacred territory, for it is there that the seeds of your future are sown. When an unwanted condition appears in your life, do not curse it, trace it. Trace it back to the belief that formed it. Then uproot it with truth. Replace it with a new idea, a spiritual statement, an affirmation charged with divine authority, and speak it over and over until the subconscious takes hold and the new pattern is born. This is not fantasy. This is spiritual law. The subconscious is not your enemy. It is your most powerful ally. But it cannot choose for you. It follows. It reflects. It responds. And the more you consciously align your thoughts and words with power, purpose, and divine love, the more your life will unfold as a mirror of your highest vision. You hold the key. What you impress, it expresses. Speak truth. Think boldly. Command wisely. And let your servant build the life you are always meant to live. Within every soul is a voice, not loud, not forceful, but clear, steady, and divinely wise. It is not the voice of fear, nor the chatter of the world, but the still small voice of spirit, ever guiding, ever instructing, ever pointing you toward your highest good. This voice does not beg for your attention. It simply speaks. And the great tragedy is not that it is absent, but that it is so often ignored. For when one does not believe in oneself, they fail to trust the very channel through which divine intelligence flows. Divine guidance is not a luxury reserved for the few. It is the birthright of all. It does not arrive in thunderclaps or flashing lights, but through intuition, through inner knowing, through those nudges and impressions that whisper, "This is the way, walk in it." And when you listen, when you obey, life begins to unfold in ways that logic cannot explain and human planning cannot achieve. Many people are waiting for a sign, a guarantee, a perfect plan. But divine guidance rarely gives you the whole staircase, it gives you the next step. And when you take that step in faith, more light is given. The path appears not before you move, but as you move. Obedience is the activator. Faith is the unlocker. You must move when Spirit says move, even if you do not yet understand why. Obedience to divine guidance is not blind submission, it is spiritual alignment. It is the highest form of self-belief, because you are no longer relying on the limited mind but on the infinite mind that sees the whole picture. When you follow that divine impulse, start the business, leave the job, speak the truth, release the relationship, you are stepping into agreement with your soul's design. That is power. That is purpose. That is destiny made visible. But disobedience brings delay. Resistance brings confusion. When you ignore the voice within, when you doubt your own inner knowing, you block the very flow of supply, direction, and opportunity that has been prepared for you. Spirit cannot force you. It can only invite. You must choose to trust it over your fears, over your doubts, over the opinions of others. There is no safer place than the center of divine instruction. What looks uncertain to the world is secure in spirit. What feels risky to the natural mind is right on time in the spiritual realm. The divine never leads you to harm, it leads you to expansion, to revelation, to fulfillment of your soul's mission. So believe in yourself, not as a separate, striving ego, but as a vessel through which divine intelligence works. Your intuition is not random. It is sacred. Your inner knowing is not imagined. It is instructed. And every time you act on it, you strengthen the connection between you and the infinite. Obey quickly. Move boldly. Trust fully. For when you align your steps with divine guidance, you walk not in circles, but in spirals, ever upward, ever forward, ever into the life prepared for you since the foundation of the world. You are not at the mercy of fate, nor are you a victim of circumstances. You are governed, not by chance, but by spiritual law, invisible yet unbreakable, exact and impartial, always working, whether you are aware of it or not. There is no chaos in the divine order. What appears as disorder, delay, or defeat in your outer life is simply the reflection of inner belief, a mirror held up by law to show you what has been impressed upon the unseen realm. The great secret is this: spiritual law does not fail. It does not waver. It responds with perfect precision to the thoughts, words, and emotions you broadcast into the universe. It is not swayed by emotion, nor touched by desperation. It responds only to belief, steady, expectant, fearless belief. The law of cause and effect, the law of attraction, the law of compensation, these are not spiritual suggestions. They are laws. And once you align with them consciously, you no longer strive for victory. You embody it. You are not required to fight for what is already yours by divine right. You are not asked to beg, to chase, to plead. You are asked only to believe, to align, to act in faith. When you speak truth, when you walk in authority, when you trust divine timing, the law begins to move on your behalf. People call it luck, but it is law. They call it coincidence, but it is alignment. They call it magic, but it is simply spiritual order unfolding. Do not mistake the appearance of delay for denial. Law works in silence. The seed planted does not sprout in a day, yet its growth is assured. The person who trusts the law waits in peace, acts without fear, and speaks with authority, not because of arrogance, but because they understand the laws by which the universe operates. You cannot plant fear and reap freedom. You cannot plant doubt and reap success. But plant faith, speak boldly, and act with intention, and you cannot fail. When you rise each morning, you are not entering a world of random chance. You are stepping into a field of divine possibility, where every thought shapes your path, every word opens or closes doors, and every belief becomes the architect of your next experience. This is not to make you afraid. This is to set you free. For once you understand spiritual law, you no longer fear the world. You master it. Victory does not come from force. It comes from alignment. From the deep, unwavering conviction that what is yours cannot be taken, what is meant for you cannot pass you by, and what is declared in faith will manifest in divine timing. You do not have to manipulate or struggle. You only have to obey the law, hold the vision, speak the word, walk in faith, and watch as life bends to meet your command. The law is perfect. It is divine. And when you align with it, victory is not a possibility. It is a certainty.